Hello, Maya TV, testing audio, hopefully. So today I am here at the Universe 2024 Multicultural Film Festival, produced by Lin Tang. And we just got to see a viewing of The Dental Plan, and I'm here with the filmmaker, Wayne Diu. How are you?
Great, great. How are you?
I'm really good. We got to watch your feature, which is, a big deal. It wasn't a short; it was a full length, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it. So, how do you feel now that we saw it here in California in Palos Verdes?
Well, I think Palos Verdes is absolutely beautiful. It's my first time in Palos Verdes. I've screened in California before, but just never here.
Mhm.
And it's great. Everyone that I've met here is so friendly and welcoming, and it was a nice reception at the end of the film. I enjoyed it very much. Got some good questions in the Q&A as well, and yeah, that was great.
Yeah. So I actually was talking to you earlier, and you have a very interesting sort of career as a filmmaker, right? You're sort of a standalone filmmaker. Is that right?
Yeah, this is my first film ever. I decided to aim for a feature. Features, I think, are more to me like usually when people go into theaters, they watch a feature, right? Like we rarely get the chance to see shorts in cinemas. Occasionally, before a feature, there could be a short, but usually it's features that we see. So I thought it would be an interesting thing to make a feature. Plus, it gives me a bit more time to get into it. Right? Sometimes with a short, it just starts and then I have to really rush to end it. Right?
Yeah. Where did the idea of the dental plan originate?
So I guess there were a couple of things I had in mind when I made the movie. The first was I always thought it would be interesting to have things take place in a single location. And I guess this is what happens in the dental plan. It's all shot in a single location. Um, and so that was the first part of it. The second part of it was what locations do I have access to? So my dad, who's a dentist, was retiring, and then it turns out I'd have access to his office right before he sold it. So I figured, well, I'm going to quickly ask him, just give me a bit of time. I'm going to quickly write a script up and then have it filmed in his dental office.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, at what point were you in your life that you felt like you wanted to tell this story?
Well, the story, I guess the main theme of this is how some people's lives are valued more than others people's lives, even though I don't necessarily think that's correct. And even as a young child, I think I saw that a lot, but I didn't really know what I can possibly do about it. So now that I'm a bit older, I figured, well, I'm going to make a film about this, and I don't want to like shove it down people's throats that some people's lives are like people think that some people's lives are worth more than others, and I don't think it's correct. I don't think I should shove it down people's throats, but I guess it's the thing that this film is actually trying to get people to think about, to consider, and maybe to say, well, maybe like medical researchers should also be valued a lot, not just celebrities, right?
Yeah. So, how would you describe this film? Because we watched it. It's a very intense film, right? Would you say it's like a thriller, a drama?
Well, it's got a bit of elements of everything, right? So um, for sure, like when people are fighting on the dental chair, then of course there's a bit of action. It's a bit of a thriller, but then a lot of the things that the villain would say, um, there, I guess it fits more like into a drama style of movie. So yeah, I guess everyone can interpret it differently and then say, maybe it's a mystery, maybe it's a thriller, or maybe there's a bit of comedy mixed in.
Mhm. It is a very character-driven story. So, what made you, particularly with the villain character, what made you give him those characteristics? Like, where did you draw inspiration for his personality?
So I thought it would be interesting if I created a villain who sometimes says things that I don't always disagree with. Like of course, he says things which I disagree with, and he also says things that I don't necessarily disagree with. And I think that's what makes it interesting for me, because people are rarely, like all good or all evil, right? I think even good and bad sometimes is a matter of how you see things, right? It's not it's not like something is absolutely good or something is absolutely bad. Of course, there are things which are absolutely bad,
Mhm.
but a lot of the time, some things which might be bad from one perspective aren't really that bad from a different perspective.
Mhm. I think there's a line in it too where he says, something like, "I'm your conscience," right? Like, "I'm your stream of thought," something along the lines, right?
Yes, yes.
It sort of goes along with that. How did you go about casting this?
So, someone from Ottawa, which is where this was filmed, Alan Mackey, he helped a lot with the casting, because uh, like when I was making this, I really didn't know how to cast a film, and he really helped immensely with
Mhm.
the casting of this film. In fact, I think he found either all or most of the actors for me. He recommended the actors to me.
Yeah, that's really cool. Where else have you, shown your film? Because I see you've got a lot of
Okay.
it.
So earlier this year, this film was screened in Cincinnati, as well as where was it? Newark, New Jersey.
Mhm.
And then, like in the past few years, it's screened in Barcelona, Spain. It's screened in like North Hollywood, um, and other parts of LA as well.
Mhm.
And in fact, in LA, I think it's screened the most. It's screened, I believe, once in Italy as well,
Mhm.
and it's screened in Jackson, Mississippi.
Mhm. Yeah. As a filmmaker who's this is your first film, how
Yeah.
does it feel to have your work shown in other countries and other continents, you know?
Well, I have to say that I really appreciate the organizers of the film festivals, because this was a very, very low budget film. It was like by like by the commercial standards of like major studios, that this was shot on like almost no budget, right? So I really appreciate um, the the people who run the film festivals and who show the films. So I really want to say a big thank you to Lynn
Mhm.
for organizing this festival, um, and for you, Alicia, for
Mhm.
like for participating in the festival, for interviewing me.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm really, really happy that, and I really appreciate these everyone who is part of these film festivals.
Oh, thank you. And we appreciate you because without the filmmakers, we wouldn't have the films. And then also it's really special when the filmmaker shows up, themselves. So thank you for coming. A couple of other things. So yeah, the film, how long did it take to shoot?
It took around 15 days to shoot the dental plan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
15 days. Wow, that's a lot of time in a confined space with your actors, right?
Yes, yes, and it was also a bit hot,
Mm.
because I remember we couldn't have the AC running because it was noisy, and we were trying to cut down on the noise, because some of the scenes, the actors say something which is very, very quiet, and they can't be yelling their lines. And yeah, in a confined small dental office, 15 days sometimes is a bit,
Yeah,
gets hot.
especially if it's a family business and you have to put everything back, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, not necessarily, because my dad was retiring, so I had the
Oh,
luxury of not having to put everything back. And if it was a bit damaged, then that was fine too.
there's a hole in the wall. You're like, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so what was because it is a bit intense and it's very tense throughout the whole film. What was the vibe on set?
The vibe. So I guess like
Like I assume your actors weren't like, they probably got along when, there was a cut, right? Mhm.
so I think a lot of the reason why it's tense is because of the music. Like I've tried watching the film without music, and it's not tense at all, right? It's like watching a horror movie with no, like in silence.
Mhm.
It looks like a comedy, right? It's not really a horror film anymore.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of it comes down to the editing, how stuff is assembled together,
Mhm.
um, how scenes are spliced in,
Mhm.
which makes it tense. But thank you for saying that it's
Mhm.
tense because
Mhm.
like that means it kind of did its job if it keeps people
Yeah.
hooked and if you think it's tense.
Yeah,
So
that's also
thank you.
yeah, of course. I mean, it was. It's not to say there wasn't like funny moments and like human moments in there. We mentioned earlier during, you know, the Q&A session that there was like the part where he was like asking him questions only when he was in the chair, right? So was that something that you wanted to do? Did you know that was going to be funny?
Yeah. When I wrote that into the script, I thought it would be a nice break, like from the tension, because like usually the way it works is we try and build a little tension and then we try and release it and then we build a bit more tension and then we release it again
Mhm.
and so on.
Mhm.
So comedy, of course, is a nice way to kind of release the tension a bit.
Yeah.
Plus, the dentist, he a traumatic event happened to him basically
Mhm.
with the passing of his wife, and I guess that is one of the ways he relieves tension by cracking these jokes every so often.
Mhm. Yeah. We have people. Okay. What do you want people to take away from when they watch this film? I know you touched on it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, so the villain says a lot of things. And what I find would be great is if everyone considers what the villain says. Some things maybe people will agree with, and hopefully there are many things that people will disagree with. Um, but it just brings a new perspective to thinking about things if they see things from multiple perspectives.
Yeah. And something interesting you mentioned is that this was sort of a newer version, right? Because it was an original 2018 film, right?
Yes, yes. So I guess the original cut was done in 2018, and it got rejected, quite frankly, from a lot of film festivals because, um, and one of the film festivals was kind enough to say you have to fix the sound and color.
Mm.
So I took it as an opportunity during the pandemic to fix up the sound and color.
Mhm.
And after that, it got accepted into many, many more film festivals, like many more acceptances. Whereas in the past, it was like a lot of rejections.
Yeah. Did you do that's interesting though. It's really like cool that you learned from yourself as a filmmaker. Did you do the editing yourself then?
Yes, yes, I did the editing myself. I added in the soundtrack myself.
Mhm.
I tried to fix the color as best as I could myself, and I also wrote the songs, which are credited to the fictional character Princess Claudia.
Mhm.
Um, I guess I'm a terrible, terrible actor, so I did not do any of the acting, uh, but I did hold the camera.
Yeah. Your actors are they carried it pretty well. I
Yes,
think
yes.
especially your female lead was really amazing. And was she supposed to be English? Like from the start? Did you write that in or she just
No,
happened to
no.
be English?
She just happened to be.
Oh, yeah. That was interesting. An interesting
She's
touch.
been in many films actually. I believe she has at the last time I checked, I think she has between like maybe 40 to 60 IMDb credits to
Oh,
her
yeah,
name.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's great that you got to work with her.
yeah.
Yeah, and also, did you know? I mean, like you said you already had someone do the casting, right? But
Yes.
did you know other people that were on this project? Because I know you wore a lot of hats for this one.
Um, so I think it was mainly the person who helped me with the casting, Ellen Mackey,
Mm.
who gave like really good advice on who to cast. But apart from that, the and of course the actors and I hired a bunch of singers
Mhm.
for performing the Princess Claudia character,
Mhm.
partly to show that she's interchangeable, right?
Mhm.
That anyone could really be her. Like, why do we all, or why do all the characters in the movie, why do all the people like in the world of the film, why do they respect her so much when she's really interchangeable? And like the voice of Princess Claudia was actually done by different people.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of illustrates the interchangeable nature of her character.
Yeah,
But yeah, apart from the acting and the singing and the casting, then I was involved with most of the other things.
that's really cool. I know you said your father was like retiring, but did he ever like watch the film and be like, I'm glad that didn't happen to me at the dentist office?
Well, I don't know. I guess maybe it's a bit like this kind of thing doesn't usually
Yeah,
happen,
but new
right?
fear unlocked, right? So, okay. So, any last thoughts for sort of any audience that wants to check out your film? Any projects that you ever plan on retouching it, or you feel like you like it in its state?
Well, any last words? I guess
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just want to thank everyone at the film festival again. I want to thank Lynn. I want to thank you, Alicia, for
Thank you.
interviewing, and I want to thank the cameraman and the see many hats, right? Camera and sound. Uh, like there are so many people involved in any film festival, and I just have to say thank you to all of them for having this film here.
Yeah, and we want to thank you for coming and for sharing your film with us, getting to talk about it and how you decided to work on it, and also for flying in from Canada, right? Because you're not a local, so it's cool that now you know another part of California, right? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to thank everyone at Maya TV for watching. We hope you stick around for more. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.